Oh my goodness.
Greetings, one and all, Grand Rising, good evening, or good afternoon, depending where you are joining us from this evening. Apologies for that. I'm not quite sure what happened. Maybe you heard some music or saw a countdown. Maybe you did not. But apologies. My name is Na Amele Asantiama, and I am the host for today's Real Talk Reshaping Motherhood, where we challenge the views that we have of how motherhood should be. Today is a special episode because I'm joined by a number of other amazing women as we mark today, Monday, the 8th of March, 2021, International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day for everyone. And please do take a few seconds to let us know where in the world you're joining us from. And also let whichever platform you are on, please take a few seconds just to like or subscribe and to share the broadcast. It's always good to be able to share information with people, especially if it can positively impact them. So thank you for joining us today. Wow, my platform is full today. It's fantastic to be joined by a number of guests. So we have Sister Francisca Mandeya, who is a mother, a coach, speaker, mental fitness trainer, and founder of Mothers United. More about that later. Double winner of the Qulliit Nunavut Status Women and Gender Equality Award, and also best-selling author of Mother Behold Thy Son, and author of soon-to-be-released titled Racial Equality. Welcome, Sister Francisca.
Thank you, Sister Angela. I'm so pleased to be here.
Thank you. I'll continue introducing my other guests and then we can jump straight into the conversation. Welcome, Sister Margaret v. Aberdeen, who is the founder of Embracing Change. She also happens to be the inspirational publicist and an ambassador for Power to Our Foundation Africa. Excuse me. An award-winning speaker, poet, coach, trainer, and author of Priceless Roles of a Mother. So please do give her a warm virtual welcome as well. Welcome, Sister Margaret. I'm not sure if Sister Margaret can hear me, but let's move on. And our last panelist today is Sister Sheila Chevet, who has been on the Reshaping Motherhood platform twice now. So we'll be learning lots from her. She is a mother herself and also a life coach at Gene Coaching School. So welcome to you too.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be back once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies in advance if there's slight technical issues at my end, I think. So please bear with us as we try to get through today's show. So today, International Women's Day, and we are talking about reshaping motherhood. So what I would like to know from each of the panelists is, in the vast, the variety of issues that we have that we wish to address when it comes to gender equality or gender equity, depending how you like to look at it. What would be your one thing that you would choose to challenge about motherhood or how we view motherhood. Sister Francesca, would you like to take that question first?
I'll take it first. And what would I like to challenge in terms of motherhood? So I would challenge fellow mothers to be to think about the way we have been raising our boys. And that I say from learning through pain and birthing the book, Mother Behold Thy Son. I only have one son. And growing up as a girl, born girl number 3, in a succession of girls, and coming into the world and getting a name, Ndaiziwe, had I known. I was born into the world of you are not enough. I was my mother's pain, expressing herself because she failed to produce an heir, a boy. And so, I don't know about other African families where their families' boys are seen as more and girls as less. But for me, that's where the story begins. And that's where the pain begins. So I grew up getting punches from boys. At 8 years old, a boy already knew a girl can't go above him. So I was getting punched at school for being smarter than boys. And in secondary school, I was grabbed, touched inappropriately by not 1, not 2, not 3 boys. I think I can count 4. They felt entitled to my body. And I asked myself, by keeping silent, did I give them permission to violate me? No. I was an innocent girl. And I had not known men that way. So that entitlement, that begins even when boys don't know what they are doing until they get to their teenagehood and they think they're entitled to our bodies. We go to the workplace, you get groped by the manager. You get married, you are a doormat. You know nothing. You keep quiet. Women sit down. And so I had to learn on my own from pain, from traveling this journey from my girlhood to my womanhood, that I am an equal human being with equal human right treatment. But pain was my teacher. And watching my young brother take all the wealth that my parents worked for because he was a boy. And I had to sit down and shut up because I'm a girl. So I dared expose that story, to talk about my own family, the innermost secrets of a family and how the girl child is treated in a family, because it was painful. And this woman refused to keep quiet about pain, because we can talk about gender equality at global level, at work level, at school level, at community level. But guess what? For me, it begins in our homes. How are we treating the girl children? And how are we raising our boy children? Are we raising them for entitlement? Are we telling them boys will be boys? Are we telling them boys are strong, boys are stoic, boys don't cry, boys are providers? If so, as mothers, what are we doing to our boys? Don't they become those boys that grow and feel entitled? Don't they become those men that abuse and feel they have a right over women's bodies? So for me, what I would change in the motherhood, that I know from an African perspective, from being an African girl, is let's change the way we've been teaching our boys. And let's change our perspective around gender equality. It's not just empowering girls and women. It's not enough. We've got to go to the root of the issue, the system of patriarchy that pits a boy against a girl, a brother against sister, a man against his wife, and tells men they deserve more pay, more power, more respect. What does it do to us, the male and the female? So for me, it's about consciously raising our children, intentionally, our boys and our girls. We empower them equally but differently based on the circumstances. So as a mom, I took it upon myself to say, I'm going to tell these stories, embarrassing as they may be, to my son. And when they come from mom, he has to know. If he goes on doing to other girls what happened to mama, it's painful. So what I would implore, what I beg other mothers to do, is to raise our boys as equals, to get them to partake in the chores at home and not be made to feel less of men or boys, to get them to go fetch water with the girls, because it's more dangerous for the girl to put a bucket on her head and walk through the forest, bringing water to the family. Girls are more vulnerable. Why can't boys fetch water? Why can't boys cook? Why can't boys clean? Why can't they change diapers? I say so because I taught my own to do so, because I knew that if he didn't do that, he was doomed to be in jail one day, because he will feel entitled to treating women like garbage. But that's a sure case of my son being an abuser. So you asked for that, my sister. That's what I would change. How are we raising our sons?
Thank you. Wow. Well, we're certainly not holding any punches here. Thank you so much. We've got a very wide variety of our panelists here, and you will hear some truths that maybe you're not ready to hear, but this is about challenging. So let's get straight into it. Sister Margaret, I'm not sure if you... Whilst we're waiting, Sister Sheila, what would be your one thing for what would be your one thing to challenge when it comes to motherhood?
I would challenge how mothers become martyrs, what I call mommy martyrs, when they become mothers. That is, they stop being themselves, they stop being the people they are, and they become mothers. They take on that titled motherhood and stop everything else about themselves. So what they're stopping, they stop their self-love, they stop their independence, they stop their autonomy, they stop everything that is supposed to protect themselves, and they now start living according to the expectations of their husbands, their society, their religion, all this in the name of being a good mother. So I challenge that. I challenge that thing that for a mother to be a mother, you have to stop being yourself so that you can be a mother. I call that martyrdom, you know, whereby you're sacrificing almost what I consider you're sacrificing your life, even though it's not a physical life. I believe you're sacrificing your spiritual, emotional, and mental life so that you can be a mother. And this shows itself in the way that we put up with a lot of nonsense and a lot of pain, as Sister Francisca has said, all in the name of motherhood. So you find some of us stay in relationships that are not worth it, you know, relationships that should actually be thrown off the surface of the earth, but we stay in them because we've become mothers and we want to present this unit of a father, mother, and children, even though what we are doing, we are modeling a very wrong relationship to the children. We are bringing up these children in a very unhealthy environment, in a war zone of a home, but we are staying there because we are mothers. Because you find a lot of the time, it is not for the man to change because he's getting everything he wants. It's for the woman to save herself by saying, I cannot put up with this. So it is the woman that's supposed to say, I've had enough, I am leaving. But you find because now she's a mother, she say, I will stay, come what may. My children have to be raised in a two-parent household. And you find the woman is suffering so much, but she's insisting on staying in that home. She cannot take care of herself because she's neglecting her own well-being. She's neglecting her own peace. She's neglecting her own self-love, respect. She's sabotaging on herself. But because she's a mother, she's saying, I will stay, come what may. So I'm challenging that mother martyrdom. And what it works out, other than damaging the children, it also makes the woman come to laud herself so much for being a woman, because she knows I'm sacrificing all this because I'm a mother, and only women can be mothers. So you find she starts extending it to her daughter. So a lot of women have such a very stifled relationship, a very uncomfortable relationship with their mothers, solely because their mothers chose to sacrifice everything for the motherhood. So then the mother, she now cannot relate with her daughter well, because first of all, she knows that the daughter, this is what is going to be the lot of the daughter. You find that women who are in situations like this are women who had mommy martyrs themselves. So you find if your mommy suffered through marriage and motherhood, the daughters will follow the same path. And then the daughters will follow. So it becomes something that we pass down the female line. And the problem with this, it normalizes suffering. Suffering and motherhood go hand in hand. So when we say a good mother, we are talking about a mother that bent her back so that it could be broken for her children, so that the society could break. So you find even on International Women's Day, when you're talking about the achievements of women, we're talking about the woman that suffered the most. You know, the woman that sacrificed everything else, stayed on as she suffered. I am challenging that. On Mother's Day is when you actually see the suffering of women being glamorized and glorified. When the children come, especially boy children, tying in with what Sister Francisca said, boy children come and say, I thank you, mother, you really suffered for us. You know, you did this. And then they talk about the suffering that the mother went through. And they're speaking as if it's such a glorious thing, as if it's such a wonderful thing, as if it's something that you actually can put out there and say, I am so happy my mother suffered for me. That entitlement that Sister Francisca is saying. But I'm going further and saying this entitlement, women embrace it. They normalize it. They normalize it because all women in the society, this is what they do. I am challenging that. And I'm challenging it again because for women that choose not to suffer because of motherhood, they get their fingers, they get pointed at by mothers that have chosen to suffer. So it is mothers that have chosen to suffer that say, that is a bad mother. She is a mother, yet she dares look for help to come and help her. She dares tell her husband to help her with childcare. She dares tell her children to do this and do that instead of doing it like a mother. She dares to leave that marriage because it was not working for her. So you find the women that are suffering are the ones who are pointing fingers at people that have decided to change that narrative and save themselves. And finally, in this martyrdom, how it presents itself is the longevity of suffering. So you hear this idea that, oh, in Africa, people have got these long marriages. You know, they've been together for 60, 70 years. And you know very well, that grandmother has been beaten all her life. She has been verbally abused, emotionally abused, sexually abused, financially abused all her life. But because she stayed for 70, 80, 90 years, we glorify her that it was a long marriage. So I also challenge this idea of longevity, of relationships in the name of motherhood, because it's a family and motherhood, just because they stayed long enough. We have to look at the quality. And we have to start celebrating women that choose themselves, who don't sacrifice themselves at the altar of motherhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Sheila. Sorry, I was muted. There was a lot in what you said there. And following on from what Sister Francesca shared with us, that concept of self-responsibility. So that is crucial. We can look out, but we also have to, step up and look at ourselves. So thank you very much for that. Sister Margaret, please do share with us. What's your if possible, what's your one thing that you would challenge in aspects of motherhood?
Yes, when you say one thing, there are many, many things. And Sister Francisca and Stella have said certain things that is in my heart. And what I really, really look at really, yes, bringing up our children, boys and girls. So that is something, as Sister Francisca said, it is really something we have to pay attention to. Because I grew up in a very abusive child. I've seen my father abuse my mom. And so this is why I have this passion about domestic abuse and things like that. But I've done quite a lot of research, and I said we have to go to the seed, the child. The way we bring up our boys, I always said, when they're young, we put hard toys, we put like a gun, we put like a plane in their hands. So, that makes them feel like they have to be tough, a hard person, a macho person. And then we put a very soft
Can we still hear Sister Margaret?
about bringing up our children, especially boys and girls. Let them see that they're, look how now so many girls are playing football and things like that. I have one son and he just became a father, and he's a very domesticated young man. He's staying home looking after the baby, changing nappies and things like that. I'm so proud to see that in my son. So it can, so it really is very powerful that we do pay attention of bringing up our children, start from that core. Because just as I said, a child is like a seed planted in the foundation of the family. And we really have to, we really have to help them from there. Another thing I would really like to touch on is self-mothering. Just as Sister Sheila said, I'm very, very passionate about that. Flip the mirror on ourselves. I know from my experience, I became very ill, given all my son, everything, etc. I became very ill, looking after my son, cancer, almost died, etc. Because I wasn't paying attention to Margaret's health. And this is something we need to do. Yes, we have children, but we got to take time for ourselves also. Give that space, be a self-mothering to ourselves. So these are the things I'm very, very passionate to, and I would like people, lots of women to become conscious of that. That's self-mothering. Take that time for yourself. See, there's some way you can go out with some friends, etc. I use the terminology, flip the mirror on yourself and take that good look at yourself. Take care of yourself, health-wise, eating properly. Take that time. And this is something I think we really need to treat our for the young girls to follow. The young girls to follow, to understand that we don't have to be all dependent on this place. Because I look back at my childhood and I see why my mother stayed there being battered, 6 girls, 1 boy, because there was nowhere else to go. And she felt, just as Sister Sheila, felt that she had to be there, keep us all together, feed us, clothe us, and being battered by my father. She died of heart attack and kidney failure through all that battery. So this is something we really have to understand as mothers, as women. Take time to be with yourself, get to know yourself, shower yourself with self-love, compassion, all these sort of things. We forget about those things once we have children or a child. So this is a very, very very important discussion that I find that we need to bring this more to the light, because there are so many people who are scared to voice their opinions about these things. And now things are changing and we have to go embrace the change. Get into that light and said, yes, I'm a mother, but I'm also a female. Well, I'm a female human being first. That's another thing, because motherhood to me is a learning process. Got to understand that. I'm a female human being. And from that, then I'm a mother. Because once a child is born, a mother is born. That is one thing we have to understand. She doesn't come in there with every single thing. So let us become more aware of ourselves. It's not selfish. Having that love, having that compassion for you, it's not selfish at all. And I think these are the things a lot of us as mothers, we feel that we have to give. But how could we give when we don't give ourselves? How could we do that? So just as Sister Sheila said, I really think, you hit so many things that I really feel really deep down. It is right, it is true. And also what Sister Francis said about the boys and girls, I would say boys and girls, we need to really show them, yes, let the boys do some chores, let them cook, let them do what, change the nappies or whatever. Let them do that. But this is where we have to start. We have to start at a very young age. So this is how I can put forth. I will rest my case at this moment, and you can go ahead and thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Margaret. Like you said, and as I said at the beginning, there are many topics that we can, many aspects that we can touch on, but we highlight a few if we can. One thing that I would challenge is, in a positive way, I think, but one thing I would challenge is actually really encouraging mothers to trust in their instincts and their intuition. And related to that is also the fact that there's no one way to mother. We are unique, individual human beings. And just in the same way that Sister Sheila was saying, we tend to learn from our mothers, our grandmothers, other women, necessarily how things should be according to how they lived it. Sometimes what it means is that we actually deny our own instincts and way of doing things because we take on board, oh no, it's already been done that way, so we must continue that way. And that's not necessarily it. Just because things have been done a certain way for a long time, it doesn't make them right. And it's a very personal journey for me to be able to take decisions in relation to raising my children, even when people don't understand them, because ultimately, I say my children don't belong to me. I am their guardians. They come through me, and it's my job to do my best to provide whatever they need so that they can navigate their own path. But the way I choose to do it may be different to the way Sister Sheila chooses to do it, maybe different to the way Sister Margaret tends to do it, but it doesn't make it wrong. And I think sometimes that can be a real challenge for mothers, because you're thinking, especially mothers who are having children for the very first time, because the saying goes, there is no manual for the child. So you will listen to lots of different people. But still, I would stress this, still in that space, if we can be quiet enough, to listen to ourselves, instinctively, we will get information that will guide the things that we need to do. So it's okay, it's fun, it's necessary to have counsel, but let's not forget that the mother, however new she is, she's also a woman with intuition, which purpose is to protect her children. So that is what I really encouraging us to help our fellow mothers to really trust, or listen to and trust their intuition when it comes to raising their children, and not enforcing or imposing upon them this kind of one size fits all motherhood, regardless of the background. So the next question I would like to ask is, would you challenge anything different when it comes to womanhood? So we've spoken a lot about different things, about a number of different things, looking specifically at motherhood. But when it comes to womanhood, so
Sister Amadi, you dropped off. So let me, because I had the question, I will answer it for our viewers who are listening. When you come, you can take over. What I will challenge with it when it comes to womanhood, I will challenge the relationship women have with each other. There is that phrase out there that women are their own worst enemies. And it is a statement that is kind of taken like the truth, and people kind of wait for confirmation bias. When they see women, oh, Sister Na is here. Let me wait for her to join. Okay, Sister Na, can I continue? You dropped off.
You can. Sorry about that. Please go ahead. Yes,
okay, so I was saying, when it comes to womanhood, I would say I would challenge the relationship women have with each other. That is mothers, girls, older women, grandmothers, and everything. I would like to challenge the relationship women have with each other. There is this common saying that women are their own worst enemies, and it's a statement that is it's accepted as the truth. And confirmation bias happens when they see one woman has been backstabbed by another. They say, yes, women are their worst enemies, kind of to further that narrative. I am of the mindset that women need each other. In this patriarchal world we live in, we need to come together. We need to look for those points of harmony that they're there. As Sister Na has said, that motherhood is different and we raise children differently, and there isn't one size fits all. We have to apply that in the women that we are. We have to apply that in our diversity, in the likes that we like, the preferences, the people that we are. And then we shouldn't use we shouldn't use the differences to keep us apart or to look down upon others, because they're different from us. So I say that women need each other. On a day like this, was International Women's Day, for this day to exist, the history of this day came about because women felt they were not being recognized. And it was women activists that had to fight for this day. 100 women from 22 countries came together and fought for this day to be granted to them. So it meant that these women had to come and speak in one voice because they were all facing the same problem, and it was problems to do with invisibility. They were not being recognized in the society. They were not being seen. They were not visible. They were oppressed. They were suppressed, and all these things that come with the patriarchy. So for us to be together, for us to grow as a people, we women need to come together. We need to know that we are not enemies. Another woman is not your enemy. So we shouldn't have this statement that say women are your worst enemies. And you hear it from the time you're a child. You start getting very uneasy around women. And then you couple that with the relationship you're already having with your mother, because the mother, because she's chosen to sacrifice her life at the altar of motherhood. So you're already having a bad relationship with the principal woman in your life. That's your mother. She's already oppressing and suppressing you and not meeting your needs. Then you go out there. The people that are actually hurting you, as Sister Francisca said, are the boys. They're boxing you. They're doing all these things because they've been brought up with that entitlement and protection from the patriarchal society. However, who do you say is your enemy here? It's the fellow victim, if I may use the word victim, the fellow woman, the fellow girl going through the same trials as you are going through. You now are saying that is your enemy. So I challenge that. I challenge women seeing other women as competition, seeing other women as their enemies, seeing other women as people they cannot relate with, seeing other women as people they shouldn't get close to because they'll be backstabbed or because I don't know what negative thing will come from that. I challenge that. I say we women need each other, and the differences that we come with should not be the reason why we cannot be together. There is always harmony somewhere, even if the harmony is we are all women together living in the same patriarchal society. We need each other. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sister Sheila. Sister Trisha is saying you're so on point. Yes. I agree 1000%. Sister Margaret, please do come and share what is your, I was going to say your bone to pick. What thing would you challenge about womanhood that you think would help us have a more positive.
What would I challenge about women? See, this is it. It all has a very similar call to what our Sister Sheila just said. Yes, I do agree about women in competition with each other, etc. And we each have a role to play. There are certain things that not every woman can do, so we each have a role to play in this world. So this is where I think, yes, as women to come together, to have that respect and understanding. Yes, we're from all different walks of life, but we're all going for the same thing, for ourselves and our children. I would say more peace, more happiness, but it's for us to come together and really have that respect and that understanding that, yes, this is our part to play. Because it's just like, as I always said, I think I've mentioned this so many times, we are from one tree with different branches. That terminology is in me, it's in my book, etc. Just showing all together going for the same thing, because the tree is just going for the light. And it's the same thing as a woman, all from the same gender. Yes, we're in war already with the male gender. Why are we going to be in war with each other? So this is something I know. I've mentioned this in my book about being, not having this woman versus women. And another thing I would point out, I see when sometimes women are working, and women who are staying full-time mothers, that sort of war, that's really a war, women versus women working. Oh, if she's working, like she's not there for the child, or if when she's at home, like she's doing nothing, not realizing as a mother, that's a very full-time, indispensable role. So we really have to understand and accept not everyone has that situation where we can have babysitters and things like that. So these are the things I think when women come together, those are the things I want women to realize. Stop pointing finger, stop criticizing each other. Just understand and have that empathy and compassion to say, yes, I understand motherhood. It is a challenging journey. It's not an easy one, but to given that the support for each other. And this is a very, very important thing. And especially being the role models too, because our children who are growing up, they are observing and absorbing whatever a mother does or a parent does. The child sees it, the child feels it. Let me just keep with that female gender role. So this is my passion and my thing to say how we can really put forth to that. I'm always think there's the girls, the footprints that we are leaving for the future generation, for the girls to follow. So these are the things I feel very passionate about, helping us to understand we are one. And together as one, we can overcome. We can co-create so many beautiful things. Instead of we have war with religion, we have war with all these things. Why have the war with the intergender role? Let us come together and really go deep within ourselves, because we're all beautiful spiritual beings. We have so much to offer. But it's for us to come together as we're doing right now, talking about these things, bringing it, airing it. Let it out. Don't hold it back, because it's a beautiful feeling once you get to this part of life where you understand so many things. And here we are. This is such a fantastic discussion that really and truly, it needs more. We need more groups like this, more sort of things for people, for the mothers to be aware. So this is my passion, is for women really coming together, accepting, co-creating, and really we'll see how we can help that with our future generation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sister Margaret. Yes, I agree. We do need more of the discussion, see more where we agree and disagree. I think the main thing, as Sister Sheila was saying, is that we do need to come together. There are things that we have work to do, and we need to do that work together. Sister Francisca, thank you for persevering. What would your view be about challenging an aspect of womanhood? I think Sister Francisca may have her issue is the connectivity. Whilst we're waiting, from my part, yes, I echo everything that you say, that Sister Sheila and Sister Margaret has said. And for me, it's about, yes, we have the, almost like the labels, we have the mothers, we have the women, we are all connected. And because we have these labels, and we know why, to some extent, we have these labels, as in a mother, usually referred to as somebody who has birthed children. I speak about mothers and mother figures, and the mother figures I see as the women, because the women have a fundamental role to play in nurturing. I hear a lot of women that say, oh, but they don't feel they have that maternal instinct or that maternal nature. And it's quite funny how I will have friends who, the ones who, you know, they will never see themselves giving birth to their own children. You know, they feel that they're too selfish. They want to focus on their career, you know, other things that they want to do. But as soon as they find the right relationship, then, you know, these are the women that usually go on to have maybe 2, 3 children. So I'm not saying that birthing children is for every woman, but I am saying that every woman has a role in mothering, whether it's mothering children. You can also mother your fellow women. There are, I think Sister Sheila mentioned this, you know, there are some women among us who do not have or did not have very good relationships with their mothers. So they will need that motherly role to be played by other women. That is an essential role, because we all need mothering. Likewise for the you know, the men with their fathers, but it's to get away from this idea that just because a woman hasn't birthed, that, and society therefore doesn't call her a mother, you still, by virtue of being a woman, have a maternal aspect to your being. That is how you are built. You are built with a womb, which gives you heightened senses of sight, taste, touch, smell, sound, to be able to preserve life. And so we rely on our godmothers, our stepmothers, our, you know, all the other types, the surrogates, all the other types of women who are not necessarily birth mothers, but they are essential to that piece, not only for looking after the children, but actually helping to nurture and support our other women. So that's what I challenge that in womanhood, we divorce kind of the concept that womanhood and motherhood are very separate. They really aren't. So with that being said, what I would ask is to Sister Sheila and Sister Margaret, what would your closing message be this International Women's Day? What would your final, closing or parting message be to our viewers that you really want them to pay attention to in the context of hopefully improving our experience of motherhood and womanhood? Sister Sheila?
Sorry, I did not know it was me. Sorry. I would like my parting shot to the women would be to tell the women,
Sister
that
Margaret, you can hear me. Would you like to answer that question? Well, not answer. Challenging motherhood or womanhood.
Sorry, Anna, is it me you're talking to, or is it Sister Anna? Are you talking to me?
I think there's a time delay. Please continue.
Oh, okay. What I would say, as my parting shot to the women out there, I will tell them that they need to speak their truth. There is a lot of women have been taught to keep quiet, to grin and bear it, or to say everything is very fine. You've mentioned about the mother figures, Sister Na, and you said we have mother figures in the community. So my issue is with these mother figures. They need to start speaking their truth. They need to start saying, I have suffered this. Kind of what Sister Francisca was saying that she tells her son. We need to have this conversation and say, these are my struggles. These are the struggles I had. These are my struggles that I'm having right now. Because there is no way people can know what your needs are if you're not stating them. And one thing that keeps us separated from each other is when we think everyone is having this hunky-dory life. Life is so nice. Everyone is just speaking and showing nice things about motherhood and being a woman. While you're there struggling. You're struggling to do the mothering. You're struggling to be a woman. You're facing all these things because these things are shown in this misogynistic. They're thrown at you in this misogynistic world we live in. But everyone is saying it's fine. Everything is nice. I'm okay. I'm fine. Not showing our vulnerability. So my message to the women out there: share your vulnerabilities. Speak. Have those women. That's why women need each other. Have those women that you can go to and say, I'm struggling a little bit here. You can go and say, help me here. Or I'm going on this path of motherhood. I've never been on this journey before. Or my child, this is happening with my child. My adult child is doing this, or my young child is doing this. Would you kindly help me? So my parting shot to the people out there, to the women out there, it is time to start speaking our truths. And we don't have to wait for International Women's Day to speak our truth. Speaking our truth should be part and parcel of our daily experiences. We should share our truths, including the problems that we are facing, including the help that we need. We need to start speaking our truths. That's how we get our needs met. That is how we get to connect with other women, and that's how we share our problems as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Sheila. Sister Margaret, would you like to go next? Let's get back. But go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes, fantastic. Yes. Voices of a mother. I want to hear them screaming really loud, coming together, saying what's in their heart and asking for help. There is one thing about, mothers, women, I think, asking for help and support when they needs it. So that's a very, very powerful thing, because I myself, when I look at myself, I did not ask for help, but felt I can do everything, multitask everything. So yes, let their voices be heard. Learn to ask for help, because I know that's a very, very difficult part of how a lot of our mothers think. We think we can do everything by ourselves because we are multitaskers. But come on, you need help, ask for the help. Because yes, I know before we may not have had all the different resources we've got now, but now we've got it. So I think yes, let's voices of mother come together, ask for help when it's necessary. If there are certain things you find it very difficult with a child or something like that, ask for the help. It is out there. So I would say let the voices of mother come together, scream as loud as you can, just as our sister Sheila said, not just on these special occasion, not just on Mother's Day. Let us all come together and do it. The more we come together, the more we grow together. So voices of mother needs to be heard, and we need to ask for help. And we need to know when to say no. That's enough is enough. And take some time for ourselves. So I leave you all there with that. Hang on to it and keep going.
Thank you very much, Sister Margaret. Thank you, and Sister Sheila, for joining me today. Apologies to you both and to the audience. We've had technical issues myself, Sister Francesca. I hope you can hear me. I would add to all the fabulous things that have been mentioned here is that aligned with speaking our truth, I would encourage us, especially as African women, women of African descent, to drop the narrative of the strong Black woman. It is so ingrained in us to always be strong, to be resilient. And somebody said to me the other day, why do I have to be resilient? Absolutely. It is not natural to be strong all the time. we're human beings. If we are some other kind of being, okay, spiritual beings having a physical existence, but in this body, we are human beings, and this body is finite. And we live in a place where we have polarity. So you cannot always be one thing. You cannot always be strong. There is a time to be weak. Some may call that being vulnerable, but it's funny because we say that vulnerability is also strength. But we have to stop putting up these, aligned to what Sister Sheila was saying, stop telling ourselves and telling our children and everyone else that everything is fine and I can go on, and forcing ourselves to go on. Because what we're doing is actually worsening or creating a bigger, eventually we do fall, because it will happen. It's not a weakness. I'm not, there aren't women out there that they do a run for your money and idea. Yes, we do a lot. We really do a lot. And there are times when we break down. It is okay. And this is exactly why Sister Sheila and Sister Margaret are speaking of the importance of women coming together, having women around you that you can say, I'm not coping. I am not okay. I need help. Because when we don't say that, not only are we exacerbating things for ourselves, we are teaching our children that women are robots and they just go and go, and it's not true. So they will be out there looking for our boy children will be out there looking for women who just, like, literally, you don't switch off. They're completely going, and our girls will grow up to be, or try to be, those women who never switch off, and it's not helpful for anybody. So that is my parting message. Everybody can be different. You can mother differently. You can woman differently, but be real. As Sister Sheila says, speak your truth. As Sister Margaret says, we need come together. There's no shame in the life that we are living. We have flaws, yes, but there's no shame in any failures or anything else like that. Women by nature, when we remember that we're connected, we are a collaborative unit. That is what we build communities. You don't do that on your own. We build together. So the best way to help ourselves empower us in motherhood and womanhood is come together, at least with the women that you can come together with. You don't have to meet her entourage, without a doubt. So on this International Women's Day, I thank Sister Margaret and Sister Sheila again, and Sister Francesca, who sends her apologies for the issues connecting today. And to all you, the viewers watching live or on replay, thank you for persevering with us. Catch us same time next week, Monday, 15th of March at 6 p.m. GMT for Reshaping Motherhood. Have a good rest of the evening, everyone. Thank you, Sister Margaret. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Happy